Kristin here. Feeling a little under the weather today, so but I still wanted to get together and talk with you guys because there's a lot going on, and I just thought I didn't want to miss the opportunity to catch up with everybody. So, anyways, pardon the hat and whatnot, but I'm here. That's all I can say. Lucky me, I get to experience whatever flu bug is going around. So, yay. Happy New Year. Anyways, hey Tim. So I put out a video this week to kind of recap where we were and where we are. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about because there's a lot of information there. So for starters, I just want to say that things are looking really good in Phoenix real estate. I don't care what you read in the news, what you see on MSNBC, whatever. Things right now are really going well in Phoenix real estate. And I think you can really see that when you compare where we came from. So if you kind of flash back a little bit to about 2008, at that time, people were losing their, like 5,000 people a month were losing their homes. Right now, in the month of December, we lost 250 homes to foreclosure. So there's a huge improvement. Home values are up. The median home price right now is $225,000, which if you compare it to, if you want to look at like how much home values have appreciated over, the last few years or whatever, I like to go back to what I call the normal market, which as far as I can tell was about 2003 before things started to get real wacky. So if you compare to the median home price back then, hi Michelle, it was 152,000. So we went from 152 to 225, which is about a 3% per year appreciation rate, which is super healthy. And now that's an average rate. That doesn't take into account price ranges where you're going to see a different appreciation rate, but super healthy no matter what anyone tells you. The peak was 259,000. That was the median price back in 2005. We haven't reached that peak yet. So when people talk about prices in Phoenix being out of control and there's a bubble and all these kinds of things, numerically speaking, statistically speaking, there's no evidence to support that fear. Mortgage rates have been huge in the news lately because they jumped up. They're above. I usually track just for so I can pick one index and kind of follow it. I track Freddie Mac, and everybody's trying to call me right now at 2 o'clock on Friday when I'm doing my Facebook Live. Anyways, it was at 4.32 last week, but there was a bit of what my lender buddy Shane calls our rally, and it dropped down today. Is like 4.2. So when people see that number 4 being the leading digit in the mortgage rate, they sometimes freak out, I guess. But there's no reason to do that because back in a mortgage rate of 4% is still extremely low, like almost historically low. 3.62 is I think the lowest we got. So when you're talking about interest rates of 4%, you're still low. If you go back to 2003, back then when I would call that normal market, the rates back then were about 6% per year. And if you go back to like an even more normal range for interest rates, they were around 8% per year back in 1992. So there's when you talk crazy rates, you got to be over 10 before we're even going to have that discussion, okay? But with rising prices and rising interest rates, I'm sure people are concerned, especially if you are trying to get into the market, like you don't currently have a home. You're probably concerned, but don't be. It might be a little more challenging for some people, but don't be afraid because wherever we are right now, it's just going to become harder to get into the game. If you have a home right now and you're worried about losing value, there's no signs to indicate that happening. So, I think right now people should be feeling pretty comfortable with the way things are going in Phoenix real estate. I'm saying all that sort of comforting, blankety, chai tea, warm, fuzzy words right now because what I want to talk about next. So, our economy has been in recovery period since 2008. And by all signs, things are going really well in general with our economy. If you can't remember what it was like back then, it really sucked for a lot of people. A lot of people lost their homes, like I said, and people were struggling. There was a lot of unemployment. It was a tough time. Things have improved greatly, even though we just came out of an election where there was a lot of, negatory type stuff going on. Commentaries about our economy. Things are pretty good right now. We've been in a growth period for the last 7.5 years, which is the fourth largest period of growth in American, in our economic history. We have a capitalistic market, and so there's always going to be these peaks and valleys, highs and lows, growth and recession, slowdown, whatever you want to call it. So there's a lot of signs that we might be heading into more of a recession period coming up this year. The Feds, by raising the interest rates, they're kind of prepping for that. They want to have a little margin in the interest rates so that if there is a recession, that they have some room to, work with the interest rates and kind of stimulate the economy if necessary. But things are going really well right now. There's no big crisis items like some of the worst recessions had a big reason for them being so nasty. Like we had the oil crisis back in the 80s. We had the housing and mortgage crisis, in the 2008 era. Right now, there's nothing, earth-shattering that's going on that would say, oh, well, things are tank. But but to have a period where there's a slowdown is very likely, and usually the impact on something like that is not so hard to absorb. It might mean cutting back. It might mean, just being a little smarter with your money. So my video that I put out a couple of tips to help you. And I'm sorry that I feel like I'm like falling asleep right now. I hope you guys aren't falling asleep listening to this because it's really important stuff. But man, I got a headache. So anyway, so I think going forward into 2017, from the real estate point of view, I think that the house values here in Phoenix are pretty safe. I don't see anything that right now says that they're going to go down because they're going up at such a nice pace. And the unemployment here is very low. People have jobs. They may not have the best jobs. They may not be making a ton of money, but they're making enough money to get by. So, and people, I think, coming out of the Great Recession that we just did, are being a lot smarter with their money. So, some of the things that I've read, I did a lot of research this week, just for my own personal preparation, but I wanted to pass it on to you. But some things that, you can do going forward to kind of prepare yourself for a bit of a sluggish economy, this is probably what's going to happen, would be, first of all, save up some cash. Get yourself a savings account, something that's insured by the FDIC. So, if you have stocks and things like that, that's great, your retirement plan and stuff. But if there's a recession and all your funds are tied up in stocks, then the value is probably going to go down. So something like a savings account or bonds or something like that, where there's some assurances that things will be, and bonds is probably not a good choice, but more of a savings account, something that's through the bank that's FDIC insured, is probably going to be almost like money in your mattress. Okay, just think along those terms for your emergency fund. And then you're going to want to also just look at your budget and see if maybe you went through you tightened up the belt and then things got better and now you're spending more, you're kind of putting money on the credit card, things like that. You need to probably cut down on that a little bit. Look at your budget, look at how you can tighten it down and really live within your means. Try and create a surplus every month. I know for me, because I work for myself, so my income goes up and down, it's very hard. It takes some effort. It takes real planning and effort to do that. But it's worth it because, you got to prepare for the rainy day. So then, and when you live within your means and you have that surplus, it's easier to save money. Okay, third, pay off your debt. If you are carrying credit card balances, things like that, pay them down and try to avoid using, credit as much as possible. I know from my experience, because the last Great Recession, I was coming out of a divorce for that, and there was a lot of debt, and it was just crushing. It becomes more crushing in a recessionary period. So if you can be debt-free, it gives you a lot more stability, a lot more freedom, a lot more, nights where you sleep well. So try and pay off your debt. The fourth thing, and I kind of like to talk about this for a little bit, is to recession-proof your income. And I kind of put this out for not just the recession, but in general. Because there's a couple of things that have come up in the last few weeks that I found were interesting. So, in the old days, you used to go work for a company. You could go work for a company, and you get that job out of college or whatever, and that's it. That's your job for your life, and they take good care of you, and you have a pension and perks and all kinds of things. Hey, Denise. But those days are kind of not. They're kind of gone. Okay, there's less likelihood of you finding a job like that these days. It's a different environment. Corporations don't think along the terms of employee loyalty as much. They think more in terms of how to keep their stockholders happy. So whether you have a job like that, or you work for yourself like I do, or you're kind of sort of finding where your place is, your best bet is to think like an entrepreneur, to think like you're your own business, and look around and make sure that you are competitive with your competition. So in a corporate environment, that might mean making sure that your employer sees value in you and they continue to pay you. If you think of yourself always like a subcontractor who's always in danger of losing that contract, you're going to remain more competitive. You're more likely to have a job. And then, you may also want to think about as a company, you might look at it as an entrepreneur, as you have maybe multiple streams of income to offset any areas that might have a downturn. So I think right now, in particular, since we're probably going to have some sort of downturn coming up, is not a bad way to start thinking about your employment situation, your income situation. What are you doing to have money coming in the door, and how can you continue to do that? Really look at your costs for doing business and what your income is. Like if you have a situation where you're doing daycare, but you're all the money you're earning is going towards daycare, think like a business. Does that make sense? Is there some other way to do this? Try to think outside the box. There's so many options right now open to people for ways to market yourself, to get business, to get income. I have a friend who sells stuff on eBay. She made like $50,000 last year. There's lots of things you can do, so this is a good time to do that. I feel like I'm doing all the talking here this afternoon, and seriously, I would welcome some commentaries from you guys. Seriously. I missed your comment there, Michelle. Anyways, so that would be number 4, though, is to really look at your income and make sure that you kind of recession-proofed yourself coming in to what's more than likely going to be a more sluggish economy in this next year. And then finally, if you have investment accounts, diversify them. And always think, when you're doing investing, think long-term. I know there's this glamorous aspect of investing that's promoted everywhere, like on every cable channel has them, where you can invest some money and you can make $10,000 a month without spending any of your money or whatever, all kinds of crazy things like that. And true investing is a long-term game. It's the best way to go. Short-term stuff like day trading, whatever, is a little bit like gambling. This is not a good time to gamble. This is a good time to think long-term. So find some really solid investments, invest wisely, and when things start to go a little south, don't panic, because if you've got really solid investments, chances are they will recover, even if things don't look good right now. I know I worked in corporate America for many years. I had stock plans and things back then, and there was like the Black Monday or whatever it was, where everything went down like 30% in one day. You know, if you play that stock game, you're gonna see stuff like that. But guess what? In a year's time, it was worth more than it was, you know, the day before Black Friday or Black Monday or whatever that day was. It's just the way it works. Real estate's not the same. Real estate's a different kind of investment. That's why I really think it's a good way to go. Especially because for most people, you're investing in, you know, you're using money you have to spend anyways, right? You have to live somewhere, so why not invest it in a property that's going to appreciate? Historically, it's been proven that real estate appreciates over time. So, you know, I think thinking long term, it's a good way to go. We'll have that whole rent versus buy debate on a different day. But so I think I don't want to scare anybody, because here's the thing too is, you know, there's been a lot of news lately. I don't know about you guys, but I've been watching more news in the last couple months than I have like ever in my whole life. What I've noticed pretty distinctly is that no matter how bad it gets here, it's just not that bad. It's not that bad here compared to somewhere like, you know, Aleppo, Syria, where the whole entire city just absolutely turned into rubble. You know, if things go really bad here, like I had a really bad period of time, worst thing that happened for me, I lost my house, and, you know, money was a real issue for a while, but gosh, we were still safe, we were healthy, we had a roof over our heads. You know, it wasn't the worst thing in the world. So, and for me personally, I learned a lot coming into that period of time. So I am not messing around this time. I'm going to prepare myself for what looks to be probably a bit of a sluggish economy coming forward. So, how about you guys? Like, who else has this flu thing going around? I haven't been sick in a long time. And just yesterday, I was like, oh man, really? Come on. No, I don't want to be sick. And I feel like I have probably one more day of this, though. I did the whole NyQuil thing. And usually, you know, that usually kicks it right in the gut, any kind of flu bug that I get. So if I have one more good day of rest and another NyQuil tonight, maybe I'll be all right by tomorrow. I hope so. Yeah. So, but other than that, the year's starting off really good for me. How about you guys? What's everybody got going for New Year's resolutions? You know, anybody who knows me for the last few years, what I do instead of New Year's resolutions is I do 3 words for the new year. So I pick 3 words that are sort of like my compass for the year, and versus a you guys can't see what's going on here, but there's a crisis brewing. Always at Friday at 2 p.m. and there's like all these texts and phone calls, and you're like, come on, people, just chillax. It's Friday at 2. It's Facebook Live time. Anyway, that's what I do. And so I invite any of you guys who want to join in. We have a little Facebook group, and we do a little accountability on it. We meet every quarter and help each other, but if you don't live here in Phoenix, you could still participate in our group. It's called 3 Words for the New Year. You can just join it, and it's a private group. It's so, you know, we can speak freely amongst ourselves. But if you want to join it, just join up, and I'll as long as I kind of know who you are, I'll let you in. We definitely don't want any trolls in that group, because it's been really super good. But my 3 words for this coming year are as follows: write, because I enjoy writing, and I've enjoyed writing a lot more in the last few years than ever, and I need to do more of it. So it'll be some for work, some for the comedy, and some that's just all I need is the dogs. So write, invest, and by investing I don't mean just money. I mean investing in myself, investing in investing in more ways than just money. And then the third word is savor, And this word I came up with because I was talking to a friend and realized that I've been in this survival mode for the last few years, since, I don't know, 2008-ish. And so I've had my head down just working and working so much. And I'm glad I did, because certainly things are looking a lot better now. But I think it's time to lift my head up and sort of enjoy life a little bit more. So that's a big goal for this year. So what about you guys? Anybody out there have any goals or New Year's resolutions? Maybe you don't want to share them here, but share them on our 3-word site. It's really good. I enjoyed talking to other people about their goals. I think it helps me put things in perspective, and I have a lot of really wise friends, and I like hearing different points of view, so it's all good. Next week, I'm not doing it from my home office. I will go out into the world because it's very distracting here in my home office. There's a lot going on in the background here that I was like, you guys, come on, let me just do this. 30 minutes of our lives we can share without having to be in the background of my video or whatever. Chai tea. Hopefully that's what's keeping me going for this Facebook Live episode here. I'm trying to think what else I want to cover. Oh, yeah. One last thing. I didn't mention this at the top, but I will now. So I kept saying, oh, things are looking really good. I didn't give you any proof, really. The last few years in real estate have been really good. It's been a healthy amount of business. I know if you're a buyer, maybe you don't appreciate how good it is because the house prices are going up and sometimes a little competitive, but overall, having a healthy market is good for everybody. So when you think about just simple supply and demand, it tells you a lot about where things are headed. Right now, our number of active listings compared to this time last year is down like 3 to 4%. So that would be the supply side of things. Our sales are up around 7% compared to last year. That would be the demand side of the equation. So supply is down, demand is up. So guess what that's probably going to do to prices? Yeah, they're probably going to go up. Are they going to go skyrocketing? No, I don't think so, because there's a lot of things that are kind of holding them down from going crazy. What happened back in 2005 and 6, there was a lot of things that are just not even possible to happen now that allowed that crazy bubble thing to happen. So the amount of appreciation right now is good and healthy and helps people. I lost my train of thought there. Yeah, so expect a little bit of price appreciation coming into this year, a little upward pressure on the prices. Up until about $500,000 though. About $500,000, especially when you get over $1 million, that's pretty saturated. So it's probably still going to be pretty flat in those price ranges. But definitely things in those lower price ranges, especially below $300,000, is very active right now. So if you own a home in that price range, you should be feeling pretty good. If you want to own a home in those price ranges, then you probably should get your act together and get going. I keep saying it, broken record time, that under 200,000 market is disappearing fast. If you want something under 200 in the East Valley, it's pretty slim pickings. There's still pretty good options in the West Valley, but in the East Valley, it's pretty hard. But that's good for homeowners for sure. Let's see, there was another thing I was going to say. Mortgage rates. So mortgage rates, they're up, and not nobody likes, I guess, not nobody likes it, but here's the thing about the mortgage rates. When they're really low, what happens is there's not as much money from investors to throw out there to give loans to people. So the money supply is tighter when interest rates are lower. And so it's harder to get a mortgage. As the mortgage rates go up, even though it's not that fun because you have to pay more interest, there's more money available to lend. And so it's easier to get a loan. And so what that does is it increases the money supply, which actually can increase demand. So that's all good for real estate. Really it is. If you think in your mind, well, I'll just wait for interest rates to go up because that'll bring the home prices down, historically speaking, that's not how it works. If you look statistically, and I'm like a Michael Orr fan, Cromford Report, there's no evidence that ties mortgage rates to home prices. They're not, there's no relationship between the two. But what interest rates do is, as I said, they increase or reduce the amount of money available for loans, and that in turn allows more or less buyers to buy homes. So if you want a silver lining there on the increasing mortgage rates, it might be a little easier for some people to get a loan because there'll be more money available to lend. Lenders will be more likely to lend money if they think they can make more money back on it. The increasing rates overall, right now they're just so low that really that's the direction they have to go in. There's not much room for them to go down. So there's that. But basically all of the signs are pointing to a good year this year for Phoenix real estate. So especially for sellers, if you own a home, you should continue to see good value in that. If you're looking to buy a home, there's no point in waiting. Definitely no point in waiting. There's a lot of ways for you to get a home now, so there's really no reason to wait. Get into the game. You'll be glad you did. So I got no questions today. I have like one comment or two comments. So I guess maybe everybody's feeling a little under the weather today, like me. I don't know. Hopefully not. Hopefully you guys are all feeling good and starting your year off great. So I'll be back here next week. Like I said, but not here. I won't be at my home office. I'll be out and about because I prefer that. But right now, this is as far as I could go. So I'll be signing off. You guys have a good week. If there's any topics you would like for me to cover in these Facebook Live episodes, you can comment. Always, I post these things, so you can always comment later, or you can always send me a message. So I'm going to sign off now. I feel like things are starting to get a little crazy here again. So you guys have a good one. I'll talk to you soon.